Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I've cleared off the baseboards here, so it's time to start building some inclines. But first what we're going to do, get the whiteboard out and go over some of the theory. Why have an incline or decline? Well, in my case, I'm building two levels, so I have a storage level down below and then the scenic area above. So I want to be able to bring my trains up and down to the scenic level. Another reason is it adds scenic interest. If you have trains going over one another, makes the layout more interesting. I will also be having that on my scenic level, so there'll be further inclines built as I build the scenery. So what incline can you have? Well, that's going to depend on a couple of factors. So the gauge you're using, what length trains you want to have, so what rolling stock and locos you have, and how much space you have available. So we'll look at some of the theory of inclines now and go over some of the information. Let's draw a simple slope. So we've got the level there and then we have our slope coming up. Now you will hear different ways of expressing a slope. You have a ratio, which the ratio I'm going to be using is 1:60. You have a grade expressed as a percentage. This could be 2%. And you also have an angle, which is this angle here. So we'll say 1 degree. Now the 1 degree, that doesn't give you much information unless you use calculus and everything to work it all out. It's very complicated, so I don't tend to use that. Now there is a website, I'll link it down below, where you can put any one of these in and it will give you the other figures. The grade is expressed as a percentage, so whatever distance you go this way, it will rise 2%. So if you go 100 centimeters this direction, it will rise 2 centimeters for 2% grade. Same with the ratio, is similar to the grade, a 1:60. So for 60 units this way, it will rise 1 unit. This is why I use the ratio. It's a lot easier, it's a lot simpler when you're building your inclines. So you know if you go 60 this way, you're going 1 that way. And that's the other important thing is, whatever units you're going to be using, stick to the same units. Don't mix up inches and centimeters or whatever. I'm going to be using centimeters. So if I go 60 centimeters that way, I know this distance is going to be 1 centimeter. So for every 60 centimeters, it raises 1 centimeter. So it makes it nice and simple for working it out. Now I know doing 00 gauge, 1:60, my locos will have no problem going up that. May have some problems with smaller locos, like an 040, if it's pulling a couple of carriages, it mightn't be able to go up. But this is where you can add realism and have a banking engine to bring your rolling stock up, and the loco can follow up behind. So there is ways of working around it. So we're going to get into the actual building of it now, and hopefully this will become a little bit clearer. If you have any questions, stick them in the comments down below. Or I do a live stream at 7:30 every Thursday evening. That's UK Irish time. And you can always come into the live stream and ask a question. If I don't answer it, someone else in the chat will do as well. And I can explain this maybe a bit more if you've got questions on it. So let's get on with the actual building of the incline. Right, let's get started with the construction. What do I make it out of? Here I've got some 10mm ply, which I've cut into 12 centimeter wide strips, about 4 inches. To act as the supports, I've got some 4x2, which I've cut into different thicknesses to act as the supports for the incline. Now you may be asking on your layout, how can I work out what ratio I can use? What's my incline going to be? We'll look at that later. I'll show you how to work that out. It's quite simple little bit of maths. But we'll carry on with the build of the incline now, so you can see how that works. Right, where do you start your incline from? I don't want to start mine on a curve. I want it to start on a straight bit and then it can go into curves. My incline is going to start here and work its way around this layout. So my curves are going to come around here. I try and use nothing smaller than a 1/3 radius curve. So my curves will end about this point here. So that's the end of the curve, I don't want it to go straight into the incline, so I'm going to come back about 10 centimetres so my incline can start about there. Remember, I'm using 1 in 60, I'm working in centimetres, so I'm going to measure from where I wanted to start 60 centimetres. So from that distance to this distance, it should have risen 1 centimetre. Now, what I'm using is already 1 centimetre high. So that will start there. So the incline starts here, will work its way up, get to a centimetre height here where it meets the wood. So I'll have to get some thinner wood and some packing just to create the slope there. So I'll use some cork, gradually thicker cork, to bring me up to the centimetre. Now I've got some thinner ply as well, I've got some 5mm ply, so I'll cut some of that to create the incline there. So it's just a matter of packing that up to the centimetre. So now the track's going to sit on this bed, so that's a centimetre. Then what I do on the piece of wood, when it's laying flat, is I mark 30 centimetres, 60, so every 30 centimetres basically, and that's 90. So now I know this is going to go up every 30 centimetres, it's going to go up half a centimetre. So I take my half centimetre piece of wood, I put it under the 30 centimetre, then I take my centimetre piece of wood riser, put it under there, and then I've got 1.5, and that goes under there. So now I can put 2 screws in there to hold that in place, and then through each support to attach it to the baseboard. Obviously, as the supports get higher, can't put a screw all the way through. So what I'll do is I'll put it on the baseboard, draw around it, and then I'll drill a couple of holes in there, and then I'll be able to screw up through the bottom, through the support, and then screw the piece of wood to the support. So now it's a matter of carrying on like this, all the way around, going up half a centimetre every 30 centimetres to give me my 1 in 60 ratio. Obviously, whatever ratio you're using, it will be different. What we'll do now is we'll go and have a look, how do you work out what ratio you can use. Right, so you want to know what incline can I have on my layout. You need to know 2 things. The run you have available for your incline and what height you want to get it to. So say, we'll use simple example, say we have a run of 100 centimetres and we want to rise it 2 centimetres. So we have a run of 100 and we want to rise it by 2 centimetres. Okay, so this will be our ratio. So all you're going to do is divide that number into the bigger number. So 100 divided by 2 gives you 50. So that means you would have a 1 to 50 ratio, which for double O gauge should be perfectly fine. So now you just need to expand that to the size of your layout. You're probably going to have a longer run than 100 centimetres and you want to go higher than 2 centimetres. But that's the basics of how you work it out. So you measure the length you have for your run, how high you want to go, divide the smaller number into the bigger number. Remember, keep the units all the same, either work in inches or work in centimetres. Don't mix the 2 up because you won't get the right answer. And that will give you the run. And then when you have your ratio, you know for every distance you go 50 across, you'll go 1 up. And then you can easily work out how to build your incline. Hope that makes sense. So we've covered how to work out your ratio. We've started building the incline. One thing you need to bear in mind is when it comes to curves, your ratio will change on the curves because of the distance. So if you can see on here, this distance here is shorter than this distance here. So that will affect the ratio. So when I'm doing my curves, I draw a center line, and that's where I measure the distance. So you'll have a larger ratio on the outside than you will on the inside. So you may want to make your inside line the one that's going down, and the outside line the one that's going up, because there'll be a gentler incline on the outside. Hope that makes sense. Now, this is the template I use for cutting out my wood. How I made this is I got a piece of cardboard, cut out this quarter circle as you can see here. Then I was able to put that on a piece of wood and cut it out, because if you take an 8x4 sheet and draw a circle on it, you'll end up with a lot of waste wood. Whereas if you can get this and put it, you can put 2 across on an 8x4 sheet and you can get a lot more out of it. Just saves a bit of wood. So the incline is complete, and you can see here how I've started with some cork going onto thinner hardboard, layering it up till we get onto the ply section. And we all have a nice gradual increase there, kept it at 1/60, going all the way around the outside of the layout till we get to about here, which is where I'm stopping for now, until I get other track down and start building the upper level, and then I can decide where I want this to come out on the upper level. Still a bit more work to be done, like here where the joins are. I'm going to have to put extra bits of wood in there and cut through here so they can be separated. One thing I noticed when I was doing the video earlier on is when I was marking out this bit of wood for putting the inclines under, I marked the wood. What I meant to say is you take the measurements on the level, not on this bit of wood, because obviously this is sloped, so the distances will be different. So when you're putting in your piers to support it, you measure along the flat to put them in. So these are every 30 centimetres apart. And then you can always try and cut your wood so it joins where the piers are. So that's how I do my inclines. If you want to look back on the live stream I did on the 19th of October 2023, I'll link that down below. You can see me actually doing some of this work here, and I'll show you how I actually do it. As always, big thank you to my channel members and patrons whose names are scrolling down here. Do check out their channels, the links are down below. And if you have any questions or comments on this, leave it down below. It's always good to get people's feedback on this sort of thing. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.